Hi, it's Ian here from 24 Hour Locksmiths in Brisbane. Today I have a Carbine double cylinder deadbolt. It is an ALB 4011A. Comes in a little blue and white box. Is it any good? Is it a lock you would want fitted to your door? Let's find out. Let's see what comes in the box. Okay, that's our bolt. That's the actual lock bolt that locks into your door. Allen key, screws. The actual lock. It's the inside of the lock. And the outside. Also comes with a strike, 2 keys, and instructions. And a fitting template on the bottom of the instructions. The lock body is made up of 3 main parts on each side of the door. It has an inner cylinder. It has the main lock body ring and a spacer. The cylinder holds the lock body ring and the spacer in place on the door, like that. The inside cylinder also has 2 screws which hold the lock together. They're tightened up using an Allen key on the inside of the door. The locking bolt is adjustable to 60 or 70 millimeters. To adjust it, what you do is you throw the bolt out like so. Then you turn the back of the lock, pull it out, and it jumps out to a 70 mil. To adjust it back, you just throw the bolt out, turn him, push him in, and it's back to a 60 mil. The bolt has a solid brass bolt. The black dot in the middle is a hardened pin to stop sawing attacks. If you try to saw it with a hacksaw or something similar, it's designed to not be easily sawn in half. The actual edge plate around the outside of the lock is stainless steel, and it's quite thick. I think it's 4 mil or 3 mil. The lock bolt is well made. Part of the problem with some lock bolts is they can, if the door is kicked in or forced, it can break in the center here. But because this lock bolt actually goes into the inside of the chamber there, it's much harder to kick this lock in or to break it by prying the door open. It's a lot more heavy duty a bolt than some that are on the market. The finish on this lock is stainless steel. The bolt has a protective cover. If you pull the cover off, it's stainless steel underneath. The outside of the lock is also satin stainless. These locks come in polished brass and antique bronze as well, but the most common is satin stainless. Satin stainless doesn't tarnish like polished brass or any of the soft finishes. It has a brighter chrome inner plug. These deadlocks are relatively easy to fit. You need a 54 millimeter hole saw, or you can use a 52 millimeter, but basically it's one large hole in the side of the door and a 1-inch hole in the edge of the door. You also have to chisel in the recess for the latch and also for the strike plate on the other side, on the edge of the frame. You also need a few screwdrivers to do up the, or Phillips to do up the actual Phillips screws that hold the bolt in. And then you place the lock together on the door and do up the Allen keys that hold the whole thing together. It's fairly simple to fit. I've actually fitted a lot of these locks. They're pretty basic. They always seem to go together well, fit on the door well, work well. Yeah, they're quite easy to fit after you've done a few. There is also a hole in that has to be drilled for the strike plate on the edge of the door. This is done after the lock is fitted to the door to match up the correct placement for the strike hole. It can be fitted in the place of other locks. You can fit in the place of a tubular entrance set or lever handle set that has similar hole pattern in the door. The hole pattern is fairly similar for locks in Australia. Would you fit it in place of another lock? Part of the reason why you'd usually fit this as a fresh fitting on a door is because the bolt actually has no latch. It's as it says, it's a deadbolt. When the lock is unlocked, there is no latch on the door. So it would, if you don't have a latch, it would just bang open and closed and bang in the wind. So that's why you usually fit these locks in conjunction with a latch type of lock that's already on the door. This type of lock can be fitted to any wooden door. Both inward and outward opening doors are suitable. It's mainly house doors, commercial doors. You have to be careful with fire regulations. You can't fit it to a fire door. Example, a unit door. Most unit doors it's not suitable for due to fire regulations. You wouldn't fit it to an exit door such as a emergency exit because it's key operated on both sides, so there's no escape function. But other than that, most house doors, wooden doors, it can be fitted to no problem. So how secure is this lock? Well, the bolt, it's a fairly well made bolt. It's strong, stainless steel plate, saw resistant center. It's very hard to bypass the bolt in any way. The outside of the lock, yeah, the only way is to open it with a key, pick the lock. It's got a solid cylinder. Even though it's got a screw-in cylinder, it's got a solid cylinder that's it's not one that's going to break easy. The inside of the lock, of course, it's got the Allen key holes, so you can unscrew it off the door. The design of these locks is mainly made for houses, and if you're already on the inside, you've already broken in. It's just to make it hard to open the door to get things out, or to so it's a fairly secure lock. One of the features of this lock is that the cylinder is removable. It's just got one screw there, and it takes a what we call a PD barrel. when you remove the cylinder, you can fit another high security cylinder or any other type of PD cylinder in the place of the one that comes with the lock. So you can change this lock to suit a whole range of high security cylinders. So the C4 type barrel that it comes with is easily replaceable and upgradable. Does this lock have any resistance to bump keys? Let's find out. Nope. It can be bumped quite easy. Does this lock have any resistance to lockpicking? Let's see. There we go, the lock's picked. The lock has no real resistance to picking, except that it's a fairly well made lock with quite good tolerances. I used a pick gun to pick it. You could pick it by hand quite simply, but it's just quicker for this demonstration to pick it with a pick gun. Let's have a look at the lock cylinder. The lock cylinder is all brass. It is quite thick around the outside of the cylinder. The lock barrel, it's also brass. It's chrome plated, very shiny. The lock comes standard with 5 pins. You can see the 5 pins to match the 5-pin key. It has an extra pin hole in the end, so it can be made to suit a 6-pin key. When the key is inserted, the pins line up very nicely with the barrel, very flush. So it shouldn't be clicky when it turns. There's no filing of the pin chambers, no countersinking. If they were filed, it would make it a lot easier to pick the lock. It also would make for a lot less key changes. So that's a really good point about these barrels. They're very high quality. Also, the pins that come with the lock, they're all brass. They have a flat end on the bottom pin, on the top of the bottom pin. Also on the top pin, they have a flat end on both sides. This is also important. A lot of locks use a pin that's not flat, which can also make it easier to pick and makes for less change keys, a less number of keys. The springs are stainless steel. And the screw-on actuator party thing is brass with the hardened end. So the whole cylinder is made of brass with stainless steel springs. It's great for wearing. It should be a better lock. You don't need to worry about it rusting or anything like that. Okay, just a quick note on lock picking and lock bumping with this lock. This lock is made for locksmiths, and one of the great things about it is it's got an interchangeable barrel. You can replace the barrel or the whole cylinder. With the standard cylinder they put in it, it is fairly easy to open. There's no resistance to lock picking or lock bumping. But this lock is designed to take restricted barrels, high security barrels, completely different cylinders. Like, it's actually a quite versatile lock when it comes to altering. So while in the standard format of the C4 type key, it is able to be picked and lock bumped. If it's fitted with a high security barrel, this changes things quite a lot. We always recommend that these locks are fitted with high security barrels, or at least a higher security cylinder. So is this a lock I would recommend fitting to a door? Yeah, definitely. We've been fitting these locks for quite a few years. They're quite a good lock. They've got stainless steel finish, solid body, brass cylinder. They're very well made locks. Changing the cylinder to a high security cylinder is always recommended with these, due to the fact that they can be picked and bumped. But we recommend you fit high security cylinders in all locks these days, due to the easy opening techniques that are available to open simple locks.